I think the biggest misconception that people have about hearing loss is that everyone can lip read and that lip reading is easy. Very simply said, 60% of language in English language is formed in the back of your mouth and your throat back here. And 40% of the English language is formed in the front of the mouth or on the lips. And 20% of the language that's formed here looks exactly the same. So only 20% of the time are you pretty sure what was said. The rest of the time you're just guessing. And you're guessing based on body language, based on the room, based on the context of what you know is happening. So it's a huge guessing game. My name is Dawn Flanagan. I am the CEO and president of Global Interpreting Services. My dad was hard of hearing profoundly. By medical terms, he had an 85 to 95% loss in each of his ears. He really couldn't understand anything unless he could see what you were saying. He could hear sounds, but he didn't know what those sounds were. In person, you had to look at him when you were talking to him. He had to be able to see your lips. And so if you talked to him like this, you could get grounded in my household growing up. And in fact, I did. Be patient. Repeat things if he would ask you to repeat things because he may not have understood what you said. My mom, she knew how to communicate with him. She had patience, and her family were very patient and understanding. And he was very good about advocating for himself. He would say, "You need to look at me when you're trying to talk to me so that I can understand you." And so he was very good about helping people understand how to communicate with him. Thinking back now on family gatherings, we always sat in a circle. Like it was just automatic. Sitting at my grandparents' house or even at our own house, like everybody just sat where everyone could see each other. You just always have to make sure that people can see their faces, that the hard of hearing people can see the body language in the face. And it's not that difficult to do. We never had an issue doing it. Try to talk only one person at a time. If there's 2 or 3 people talking at one time, the hard of hearing person is not going to understand what's being said by anyone. If you could instill turn taking, then, they'll understand you better. And it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It's just kind of, if someone's talking, then let them finish before you start talking or the next person starts talking, or just kind of like put a hand up like, "Hey, I want to talk." Things like that will help the hard of hearing person be able to partake in conversations. And if you're sitting around a holiday table, this is a big one. I know those centerpieces are really fun to have and they're beautiful, but if you have a hard of hearing person, those centerpieces can impede their ability to see people across the table. So, if you have a centerpiece, just make sure that it's low so that they can see people on the other side of the table. Because if they can't see people on the other side of the table, they won't be able to communicate with the person on the other side of the table. I never had high, big, huge centerpieces because I wanted to make sure that everyone could see each other at the table. I made sure that visual noise at my house on tables was always small. Even in my kitchen, I would have a buffet style setting for people. They would come in and get food. I even made sure that was low because people always tend to go to the kitchen and gather and talk and eat, right? So making sure that there's spaces for that. And then we never really had a lot of background noise. I never played music at holiday gatherings that I knew Dad was going to be at because that's just added trouble for him to try and hear over. So, holiday music in the background is great. It's comforting. It's fun. But when you have people with hearing loss, it's cumbersome because it's just something else they have to try and drown out or get past in order to communicate. So if you have holiday music in a hard of hearing person, make that holiday music really low so that people can enjoy it, but the hard of hearing person can hear past it. Have patience. I see a lot of people lose their patience in trying to communicate with hard of hearing people. You know, they might ask you to repeat something and people get upset, you know, if they've repeated it once or twice and they get asked maybe a third time to say something and repeat it, and they'll just go, oof, you know, forget it. You know, you don't need to know, or just, I'll tell you later. You know, that's rude. You know, that person deserves to know what you know. They deserve to be communicated with just like everyone else. And just, if they're not understanding what you're saying and you've said it once or twice, try saying it a different way. Because perhaps you're choosing words that are said in the back of the throat that they can't lip read or they can't understand, or that are said in tones that they cannot hear. If you say it a different way, choosing different words, that will probably solve your problem. So those would be two suggestions for me. Use patience and say it a different way. Those would be my biggest suggestions.